So after that VAR shambles at Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool looking to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. And next up, it's Brighton. Now Brighton obviously are without a win in the last 3 games, and they've just come off the back of a gruelling trip to Marseille. That is a difficult away trip in Europe, and also they fought back to get a 2-2 draw. So it just shows you that they had to fight till the last minute of that game to make sure they came away with a result. So they come into this one in sticky patch of form, and also, as I say, with some miles in the legs off the back of that European trip. But for Liverpool, they've got selection issues and headaches of their own for the manager to deal with. Obviously, it's not just injuries they've got, but also suspensions. I'm thinking Jones and Jota are both suspended for this one. You've got Gakpo still out, Thiago still out, and Stefan Bajcetic. So that makes the team selection not a straightforward one for Jurgen Klopp. So what I'm going to do here is attempt to go through the team and pick out what I think the manager will do. This is not maybe my preferred team, but how I think the manager is going to go from this one. And obviously, we'll start as ever with the goalkeeper. Now I think this is a straightforward pick, as you would expect. Obviously Alisson Becker is the number one, so I think he goes straight in there between the sticks. No real surprises in that one. Now in defence, it does get a little bit tricky, a little bit more hard to predict. Now Joe Gomez for me has been outstanding since he's come into the team in defence recently, and particularly so at right back. I think it's a position that people forget that he can play really well. I think because of what you get from Trent Alexander-Arnold in terms of creativity there was almost a feeling that since this change to a new system, particularly where Alexander-Arnold inverts, that maybe Joe Gomez wouldn't be able to sort of fulfill that role or take up that place in the team. But I think he's been absolutely sensational really since he's come back in, and not really put a foot wrong since Alexander-Arnold was injured. But of course, Alexander-Arnold is now back available. He plays 60 minutes in midweek against USG, so he should be fully fit and available for this one. I think that's a difficult choice to make, but for me, I think the manager is going to go down the route of using Alexander-Arnold. Of course, he's a player of such quality that it's really hard to keep him out of the team. I think he's such a creative force from that right back role, particularly when he steps into midfield. And I think having got those minutes under the belt, and also he featured a little bit at Tottenham as well, I think the manager will consider that he's ready for this one to come straight back into the starting 11. A little bit unlucky for Joe Gomez, you have to say, because as I say, I thought he'd been outstanding since he's come in, but you can't keep a player of Alexander-Arnold's quality out of the team for too long, so I expect he comes back in at right back here. In terms of the central defence, Joe Gomez, I don't think he's going to come in there either. I think Jurgen Klopp is slightly reluctant when he gets a good partnership going to break it up, and for that reason, on the right-hand side of the centre-halves, I expect maybe Joel Matip will start this one. Ibrahim Konate, since he's come back from his injury, has sort of worked himself back to fitness, but he's still in that Europa League team at the moment, and I think the manager spoke about this in his pre-match press conference, talking about how he likes to manage both players' minutes in this early sort of really intense part of the season, because they have a tendency, don't they, when it gets a bit intense, and there's game after game after game. Matip and Konate are both prone to picking up a muscle injury, so I don't think prior to the international break that Jurgen Klopp is going to look to break things up. I think he's going to stick with what he knows at the moment, and Joel Matip, despite that own goal he scores against Tottenham, I thought he was absolutely outstanding in that game, and he deserves to keep his place for this one. So I think Joel Matip will start at centre-half in this game. Alongside him, a very, very easy pick, the skipper coming back in on that left-sided centre-half position, Virgil van Dijk. Absolutely no chance of change there, as we know. It's not just that he's the captain, but he's outstanding. I think his form this season, his form recently really has been scrutinised, and there is still talk about, he's not the player he was, but even if that is the case, even if he's not absolutely one of the world's best centre-halves of all time, I still think he's one of the best defenders in the world, and certainly in the Premier League at the moment. So Virgil van Dijk definitely coming back into the team for this one. I think at left back as well, the same goes for Andy Robertson. Kostas Tsimikas does a decent job, doesn't he, when he comes in as a backup, and I think we saw that in the Europa League, but there's no chance of anybody else but Andy Robertson coming in for this one. I think his form in recent weeks has really gone upwards, on an upwards trajectory. There were doubts, wasn't there, over sort of his role and his ability to play when Liverpool turned that into almost a back three at times, his ability to pick the right moments to go forward. But I think Andy Robertson's been really, really good recently, and definitely comes in to start this one. Now, moving into midfield, again, another tricky spot for this one is the holding midfield role, because there's a little bit of a rejig is going to have to happen in midfield, isn't it? Because of that Curtis Jones suspension. That's a real blow. He'd been playing so well recently, worked and dovetailed really well with Szoboszlai and McAllister, I thought, and brought a real ability to keep possession and good pressing quality. So Liverpool will really miss that. So how they go about replacing that is a tricky one. But for me, it results in that holding role. Maybe McAllister gets pushed up, so that means that Wataru Endo comes in. I think from Endo, we've seen a vast improvement in recent weeks. He's, in that League Cup game against Leicester, I thought was a real breakthrough moment for him. We saw sort of more aggression than we've seen from him. Jurgen Klopp has spoken in the past about Endo maybe being a bit too polite at times, but I think that's sort of gone out of his game now. And the fact that he played 45 minutes in the Europa League suggests again that it's all about just keeping him in rhythm and maybe just preparing him and not putting too many miles in his legs ahead of this game at Brighton. So I think we're going to see this is a game where Wataru Endo comes in and takes on that holding midfield role, as he would have hoped to do. Once Liverpool had sold Fabinho and bought Endo, he seemed like the natural successor in that holding role. So we will really hope that this is an opportunity for him to come in, and I think it will be. I think we'll see Endo start this one. So that means on that left-hand sided 8, I think Alexis McAllister is going to get an opportunity there. Again, this was something that Jurgen Klopp was asked about in his pre-match press conference about is McAllister's role, his best role, to play the number 6, because obviously that is pretty much exclusively what he's been doing since he come to Liverpool, and Jurgen Klopp was sort of evasive about that, and I can understand why. I think Liverpool actually bought him to play this left-sided 8 role, and I think it's the one that really suits him. So I think that's where we're going to see him in this game, going back to his former club and playing in a position where he mostly played his football for them. So I think a good opportunity for McAllister to show that there are other strings to his bow, and that he shouldn't get tied down to that number 6 position, because the creativity of some of his passing and his ability in tight areas, I think we're going to see the better of that, because sometimes some of his passes in the number 6 position, they can feel a little bit risky, because if you do lose the ball there, obviously the opposition is straight in at your defence, and that is a huge risk, whereas he can take a few more of those risks when he's a little bit further forward. So if he does come in as I expect, then really excited to see how that one works out. On the right hand side of those number 8s, of course, alongside that 3, as part of that 3 rather, Dominic Szoboszlai, for me, first name on the team sheet at the moment, been absolutely outstanding since he's come to Liverpool, and every week just a pleasure to watch him play. Really excited to see him again in a game like this against Brighton, because I think last season when Liverpool went there and were defeated, I saw it was sort of really summed up how the loss of intensity they had in midfield, and I think Szoboszlai has injected that right back in. He also brings incredible quality on the ball, and his shooting from distance is remarkable as well. So yeah, very excited to see him come back in for this one and be a starter in that midfield again, see what he can do, and see if he can get another goal to start from what has been a remarkable start to the season from him. Moving into the front line, I think this one is a little bit more straightforward. Obviously on the right hand side, Mohamed Salah, we don't even really probably have to discuss that one. He's been absolutely phenomenal this season, not just in terms of goal scoring, but obviously he provides assists constantly as well now. He really is the all-round forward, still one of the absolute best forwards in the world. Thank goodness Liverpool didn't sell him to Saudi Arabia. On the other wing, it's got to be Luis Diaz, hasn't it? Maybe Diogo Jota would have given him a run for his money for a start in this one had he been available, but he's serving a 1-match suspension, and I think, to be honest, it would have been Luis Diaz anyway. I think he started the season brilliantly, and he has to keep that left-hand side role until sort of someone else comes in to show that they're worthy of taking it off him, and nobody has done that yet. I think Diaz has been absolutely brilliant, so he gives you so much on both sides of the ball. He's a really voracious worker, isn't he? And he chases down and he presses, but he's also got so much quality and threat when he moves forward with the ball as well, so has to be Luis Diaz there. In terms of the centre forward role, obviously again almost picks itself really. Diogo Jota suspended, he does play a lot of his football in that centre forward role, and Cody Gakpo we know is going to be out until the international break now, so it's got to be Darwin Núñez. He missed a chance in midweek in the Europa League that you hope he can just quickly put behind him. It was a bit of a sitter really, and he has still got that in him from time to time, but hopefully he's got that out of his system now, and he can come into this game all guns blazing, because overall it's been a really decent start to his second season at Liverpool. So I want to see him keep that going and keep the goals coming in the Premier League, because I think there's so much potential there, isn't there, and he's getting a sustained run in the team now, so hopefully he can really use that and build on it. So that puts my team together. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you disagree completely with my selection in certain positions. Let me know what your starting 11 would look like and how you think Liverpool are going to get on against Brighton. It's a tough game on paper, but hopefully Liverpool can come through this one with another win. As per usual, I'm going to ask you, please do, if you've enjoyed this video, do click the like button and do subscribe as well to keep up to date with what's going on at Liverpool. And of course, I will be back after the Brighton game to pick through what's happened, and hopefully it'll be another Liverpool win that we're looking back at.